Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello, welcome to All for United, where you can see 6 guys just staring up at the TV screen watching the Champions League play out. So bear with us for half an hour because we're, as sad as it seems, watching a City game. We are actually interested. But yeah, we're here for the fan preview for the Brighton game. I'm Simon. I'm here with Reese, Bainsy, Sati, Mr. Ton, and Stu. So should we get straight into it? Who's less invested in this? In this Champions League game, Reece, shall we go to you first? Can you take your eyes away from it?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I've got no TV in here, so I'm lucky enough. Like I've
All right.
I haven't got a pull, so yeah.
You're the perfect person to go straight into it. Then, yeah. It looks like it's us against West Ham. I think for the lucrative 6th spot in the league for the Europa League. Are you confident that we're going to make it? It looks like we need just a win. Really, looking at the fixtures, I mean, Brighton away, Palace away is not easy for us, but West Ham haven't got easy games either, with City thrown into one of the 3. So it looks like it's going to be difficult for us to throw away. Do you think?
Yeah, game in hand, 6 points clear at the minute. They've got a game in hand on us, but yeah. I think we need it, don't we? I know it's not particularly something that we all want to watch next season, but equally, I think it gives us an opportunity to rotate. There's a load going on in this game. All guys.
I thought you didn't have a screen.
I don't have a screen at all. I'm just watching all your faces watching this game.
Just you can see Bainsy dancing.
Converted his penalty. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Well,
sorry, Reece. Go on, mate. Go on.
No. You're good. I mean, it's to be fair, it's just taking a little bit of some positives. I mean, last game, Brentford 3-0, good positives, some good displays. That's what we get again. What we need against Brighton, just a bit of a decent display. Maybe bring the youngsters on. We still haven't seen that enough, have we, for these last few games? And we were hoping Garnacho would get more minutes against Chelsea the other night, and he didn't. He got a few minutes, but yeah, I just want to see some new faces, really, Simon. And another good display. For me, I'm not really so bothered about the Europa League place. I think that's pretty much tied up. So I think we just need to put in some good displays for the fans now. The last couple of games, so yeah.
How about you, Bainsy, for that 6th spot? Do you think it's pretty much tied up? And do you think maybe just a half decent performance in the early stage of this game we could see some new faces? Maybe if it looks like,
yeah.
I mean, we probably really only need a point if we're honest, but 3 points should do it. So then it might be.
If we win, that's it. It's Europa League, isn't it? It's done. Right?
No, West Ham have got. If West Ham could win 2 of their games, then they've got a better goal difference. So
okay,
it's not complete. It's not completely sealed with a win, but it requires West Ham to get 6
Brighton
points.
No pushover though. I mean, they're a great side. So regardless, it's we don't have a very good. We don't have a very good record against Brighton away, so I know we've had some shock results there. So, yeah, they're no pushover. I mean, win the game. That's all it is, really. Just try and finish the season in some sort of positive light. I know pretty much every United fan that I speak to now are looking forward to the summer, but just try and finish the season in a positive way, and hopefully, just get the win. Play, we can play Europe, some kind of Europe. I know last week we all mentioned that it might be better for United to finish 8th. But then come to think of it, some other people had a point to say that, getting into Europe is probably a better idea. So we can see Ten Hag do his magic in the Europa League and try and really rotate the players to come in and for the league and the Europa League. I just don't like the fixture schedule. Thursday, Sunday is just horrible. So, yeah, I mean, just win the game, I think. Just win the game. It's not going to be an easy task. We know Brighton have got some really good... Well, I want Potter to get the England job, personally, but, it is what it is. And I think that just win the game. I don't care how it's done. It doesn't really matter at this point, I don't think. Performances, they've been lackluster all season. So just win the game, whether it be 2-1, 3-1, 2-0, whatever. Just win the game for me and try and get into Europe.
Yeah. Well, should come to you, Sati, if you can take your eyes off the game. Well, we should probably update people that Madrid are winning 3-1, which is crushing City hopes currently. So we're not going to gloat too much, but if we can turn our attention to what is essentially not even really a race for Europa League, but it's about securing some European football of sorts for United. I mean, I called it half decent European football in the tweet before the show, and someone replied saying, "Are we calling this half decent?" But it's the middle ground between what we want in the Champions League and either being in conference or even out of Europe. I mean, they're probably on a par, aren't they? So it's worth getting tied up in the next game, and then, like I said, we could be seeing some different faces on the last day of the season in a couple of weeks.
I think what we mentioned previously in the show, and I think Stu actually mentioned it and said Manchester United in a European competition should be something that does happen. And I think it's something that should happen. I think, especially with a new manager coming in, I think it allows us to try new formations, try out new players in different systems, give them a chance to embed his philosophy, let them get grips to it more. Because there's no better feeling than getting experience from actual match day and playing against opponents worthy of like our level at that given time. So I think it's a case of going into Brighton with the mentality to win the game. We should be going into any game to win the game, to be honest with you. And it shouldn't be any different from the Brighton game. I think I see a lot of training pictures and a lot of tweets being sent out by United saying grafting today, ready for the weekend. I mean, it's a bit. It's about 30. It's about 36 games too late, but it's something. I mean, something for them to get back to us. It'd be interesting to see the team line up because I think Maguire's back in training, and I'm not too sure if it was Luke Shaw. I couldn't see it properly. But I know Wan-Bissaka, sorry, yeah. I knew it was a fullback. So it'd be interesting. I mean, Brighton again. What Bainesy said, just to touch on what he said, they're no pushovers. It will be a difficult game. They do arguably play probably better progressive football than we do as a collective. So I think we should go into that game looking to win it, go in to finish on a high, boost the morale, and hopefully, if we are winning the game with a considerable amount left of the game, then we can maybe have some new faces introduced. But I think based on the European position, I think we should be looking to get to the Europa League. It's something that is better than nothing. It's not the best, but as we've seen in years, it can be a plan B. So if the league, as I said in the previous show, I do expect our league position to fluctuate and be a roller coaster as it was this season. So I think having the Europa League there as a backup will also allow us to have a second opportunity in order to qualify for the Champions League. And with West Ham playing tomorrow against Frankfurt, their game is still in the balance. So if they win tomorrow, it's almost like all their eyes go onto the final. If they lose tomorrow, then all their eyes go back onto their league position. So I think it's important for us to win our games and focus on what we're doing. I think City have to go to West Ham, I think you touched upon. So they're going to have a couple of difficult games. But all in all, I think European football for Manchester United next season is important rather than not being in any competition.
Yeah, I would personally agree with that. What's your thoughts on that, Mr. Ton? I mean, it's not we can't claim that we've got something to fight for, but it is surely worth pressing on and getting into this Europa League and getting it wrapped up sooner rather than later. Or would you disagree? I mean, I'd like to see United play more than 38. Well, not 38 games, obviously, with the cup competition. But you like to see your team playing more than just a basic amount of matches. You want to see a European run of some sort because we, end of the day, as much as we've not enjoyed it this season, we do enjoy watching our team play.
Yeah, I'm sat 50-50. I want us to obviously be in Europe. I'd rather prefer us to be in Champions League, but the one I don't want us to be in conference. You know what I mean, that's the one I want us to avoid the most. Definitely, I feel like over the last couple of years, especially Europa League has been a prestige sort of cup. I feel like it's become something to play for. I don't think it's as bad as how it used to be. And it's definitely a way, since they changed it, you win that, you're in the Champions League. But at the same time, it's like, would I also like the coach to be on the training ground and proper implement his idea to a lot of, because I'm looking at of some of the players that haven't had that right coaching. And yes, you can try stuff in games, but with some players, they need, especially from all the research I've done with Ten Hag and what people have told me that watch Ajax a lot, and he's a details man, isn't it? So, and he takes players even one-on-one sometimes, and video analysts, and I feel like that's why for me it's 50-50. It's like, okay, on one hand, you're in the Europa League, and it's the Thursday, and then probably Sunday because the Prem doesn't, help us like the other teams in Europe. And then the other hand, it's like, okay, but I would love him to fully implement his ideas. It's a 50 for me. It's a big 50-50. It's a big 50-50. Yeah. I'll be honest, sure.
I mean, does he need the full season to implement them things as a top class manager? Would you not expect that, over the course of a season? I mean, I know you don't get too much training time and et cetera, but is it worth taking the whole season off? Because you'd think, by the middle of the season, he might have his ideas in place, and then we've still got another half the season to go. But
I feel like it depends on the personnel he brings in the summer. That matters a lot. That changes how I probably perceive it, everything, because I'm looking at it as a lot of the current players that are still going to be here. But if you get 4-5 players in the image of how he wants to play, it's going to change my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. What's your take on that, Stu? I mean, I think you're a good person to ask on that one. Do you think he does need the Europa League to help him get his style of play? Do you think he would benefit from not being in the Europa League and having the time on the training ground? What would your take on that be?
No, you've got to play European football. I mean, if I was a player, that's what I would want. I'd want European football. And I don't think it matters at the minute whether it's Champions League or Europa League. What it is consistency, the type of games that we need to play. We need to be in every competition. And the only way he's going to find out about his players is by playing football. You can do as much work as you like on the training ground, but the problem is if you don't apply it during a match day, it's pointless. And I've been banging on about this all season. And this is the biggest issue. You see, you hear a lot about coaching. You hear a lot about, players need this and players need that. They don't necessarily need coaching, these guys. They know enough about football. It's all about application and attitude and aptitude. And we haven't seen the right application this year. And because we haven't seen the right application, what's tended to happen is a lot of the fans are saying, well, our coaches don't know what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it just isn't strictly true. If that was the case, then Ranić would have overseen a dramatic upturn in our fortunes. But the players just couldn't apply or didn't want to apply what they've been, what we were talking about until actually Brentford. And the only reason we applied it with Brentford is because you had the likes of Juan Mata, who was an absolute magician. And when you look at what Brentford produced, they had Ericsson. Those are the two best players by far on the pitch. And the thing about Mata is, what it did is that it finally brought Bruno back to some kind of form, and Ronaldo, because Mata, they knew the ball would stick. They knew that he would know to pass it 2 yards. They knew he'd know to pass it 10 yards, 20 yards. He knew what to do with the football. So we must go there Saturday. We must play a very, very similar side, and we must win. And that's it as far as I'm concerned. You go into every game of football wanting to win. And if we do win, and as the lads have said, West Ham have got a couple of tricky fixtures. It won't be easy against Brighton, but I think the way that they play will actually play into our hands on Saturday. I think it will give us the space that we need to get in and around and get the chances. And, if Ronaldo plays, we've always got a goal. And then, if we secure European football, then do something with the younger players if you want. But right now, our focus should be winning and winning only. That should be our priority.
Yeah, I think it's personally like a lot of the last games of the season tends to be that's the game where the youngsters get the chance once the job's done, sort of thing. So I would agree that you do have to go to Brighton and get that job done. And Brighton away, I mean, like Stu has also said, they have played into our hands. We've scored a good few counter-attacking goals down there in the last couple of seasons, so maybe that plays into our hands as well. Another thing we got kind of hanging over us after the recent run of form. Obviously, we can just about equal our Moyes season total, which isn't something to be proud of, but at least we can still do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be the standout worst season. How important, Reece, do you think that is in a sense of, removing a bit of stigma going forward and confidence for the team next year, just not to have that hanging over the head that, they were United's worst Premier League season? Because I kind of feel that you just don't want that burden. I mean, even if you've equaled Moyes' season, it's not great, but it's better than being the absolute worst.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? I think it's understatement of the season. No, it's not particularly great, but look, it is what it is. We've made us bed, and we need to sort of like lie in it, don't we, and accept that we've been poor. I think records, whether they're good records or bad records, are they're just records, they're just numbers. We need to just sort of concentrate on what we can sort of affect, and that's the results in the next game, the game after that, and then obviously next season, and what we do from there. So for me, yeah, it's not nice that we're sort of linked to this poor run of form and this kind of worst spell that United have had, or this worst points tally that we're going to equal or even possibly not even attain before the end of the season. But for me, I don't know. It is kind of what it is. We've seen some really poor football this season. Can it get any worse? No, probably not. Unless somehow Brighton smash United 5-0, which I don't think is going to happen. And I think we'll see some good performances in the next two in the next two games, and we'll see some new faces hopefully, and there'll be some positives to take from both of those games. And then we'll go into next season with a bit of a lease of life with Ten Hag and his regime. So yeah, it's all about looking forward and being positive. I don't really want to dwell on anything that's gone before. I think it is what it is now. So we've just got to look at kind of like getting to the end of the season as quickly as we can. Hopefully, get through 2 good games, good performances, and just move on from there. And I think dwelling on anything that is negative or has been and gone, I think is not particularly a step forward for the club or for the fans. So yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on that, Baines, on kind of avoiding the Moyes hoodoo points total? Do you think it's important to at least equal that, or will it be hanging over the players? I mean, we know what the media will do.
Of
won't
course,
they? They'll constantly bring it up in a sense that this is the same team that got that total.
The media will, though, and the media we all know what the games the media play at the end of the day. To be honest, the players, that points total is nothing but to blame the players. There's been enough chances. Ollie obviously got sacked. Some will say rightfully, some will say now, looking at hindsight, was that the right choice? Look, at that time, it was time for him to go. And I do remember that when Ranić came in, that we had a period of about 15 games where we all looked at it and they were all sort of bottom half of the table, and we thought 15 wins. And with Ranić's reputation of this gegenpress and blah blah blah, and you can only blame the players of that. So if that points total looms over them, then the only people that they can blame is themselves. So the media will come for them, but it's deserved, and fans may point it out, but it's deserved. It's not nothing. Saying that though, I don't think the players really care. And to be honest, so what? I mean, the season was pretty much done as soon as we were out of the FA Cup from Middlesbrough, and when obviously the league was never going to happen, but even Atletico Madrid, the league was done then. There was no point of even competing. Of course, there was top 4, but I mean that's not exactly a trophy, is it? So yeah, I don't think the players really matter. To me, it doesn't really matter. Again, it's one of those seasons where you look back at it and go, just forget about it. It was just one of those seasons where everyone sold us dreams, and it didn't come to fruition. So yeah, I don't think it matters too much. I don't think the players will care too much about it. I think in their minds, there's a lot of them that are already left the club. and they're looking forward to what happens in the summer. New faces that come in the summer with a new manager who can try and reset things and get them going again. I think that's what they're mainly looking forward to. So yeah, no. To answer your original point, I don't think it matters too much, to be honest.
No, not necessarily to us or the players, I suppose, in that sense. Let's see what John's saying in the comments. It's embarrassing in a way if we achieve less points in the Moyes season, but where you finish is all that matters. But we absolutely have to try and win our last 2 games. It's fair enough. I mean, we're not. I think we're pretty much lodged in 6th. Really, we're obviously not going to finish any higher than that unless teams above us absolutely capitulate. And Spurs and Arsenal have got like 4 games left. I mean, it's just not going to happen, is it? Because I think they'd have to lose them all pretty much for us to overtake them. So yeah, well, what's your take on that, Sati? I mean,
I think
a lot of the players are leaving. So yeah, maybe Baines is right in saying that they don't care because it's definitely not their problem next year. They're not going to be the ones getting the flack for being the team that finished there. And if you don't start well, the flack will come, won't it? Especially if they're worse than the Moyes season, which obviously hangs over us like a bad smell, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think in regards to the media and stuff like that, I mean, it goes back to the whole hated, adored, never ignored sort of situation where Manchester United are going to be in the media for anything bad they're going to pin us on. Anything we do good, they hardly really give us recognition for, and it's been like that for many years. I think what's the 2 biggest things I've looked at in terms of the Moyes season compared to this season is that's a title-winning team finishing with that low tally, and then this was probably being arguably one of our best teams post-Fergie that it will finish in this low tally score. I mean, I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it as much. I'll just think to myself, get to that Europa League place, cement 6th. If things happen above us and we manage to finish higher, it'd be a miracle, but we can't really see it. We have to just look ourselves in the mirror and blame ourselves for the position that we're in. And as soon as Ollie left, we didn't really get the manager bounce that we wanted, or the players probably didn't step up to it. I mean, there's a lot of call outs in the media from Ralph saying about the players are not listening to his ideas. They find it difficult to adjust. So I think a lot of the responsibility does lie upon them on where the position that we are in at the moment. So I think in regards to worrying about Moyes' season and stuff like that, I wouldn't personally pay too much attention to it. I mean, really, I think this is going to be the lowest point tally that 4th place will reach in a long times in the Premier League. So I think it's more the fact of that we should just try and finish strong as possible, win our next 2 games, and then just literally get this season over with, reset and rebuild, rejuvenate, and then get ready for next season. I mean, like I wouldn't pay too much attention to the media. I mean, ESPN will probably come out with an agenda against us or something. They're not our biggest fans. So so I wouldn't pay too much attention to terms of points tallies and stuff. I just think just get the season done with, finish on a high, and then try and look forward to the summer. Let Eric Ten Hag come in. It'd be a new identity, be fresh ideas, so it'd be something excited rather than thinking to yourself you're going into the season with the same philosophy, the same ideas. It's going to be different, and it'll just be nice to actually do a proper rebuild now in terms of losing players, in terms of the whole structure of the club changing, and it'd just be nice to get in personnel that the actual manager wants and that he can implement into his system. So, like I said, I could go back to the original point. Yeah, wouldn't worry too much about statistics and points. Just let's finish on a high and get ready for next season.
Yeah. I think we've all, for quite a few weeks now, we've all kind of come to terms with the fact that this season's a write-off, and we're all looking forward to next year, especially with the manager situation sorted. I mean, that helps in that respect. But I mean, obviously, to bring back the Moyes season again, we had that points total. Obviously, it was a complete embarrassment to go from winning the league to that, but we did recover again of sorts with the Van Gaal season. So you'd think we can do it again, wouldn't you, Mr. Ton? So is it a stigma, or is it just a case of being positive and forgetting about the statistics and the points total? Because it was, again, like the others have mentioned as well, it's going to be a different set of players, so it's just going to be a clean slate.
Yeah, I feel like there's no work. This isn't, in my opinion, I think this has probably been a worse season, and I think it's been performance-wise worse than the Moyes season, in my opinion. I've never been so excited for a season to end. I've never been so excited to see pre-season. I've never been so excited to get to a transfer window. Never. I'm being honest with you. Like, that tells you everything, really, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward at the date. I'm like, oh, when's our last game? The 22nd. Oh, fucking hell, how long we got left? That's what I'm looking forward to, like, literally. And that tells you everything.
You're not alone.
Me.
Crossing it off on the calendar.
So, yeah, exactly. So that tells you all how this season's been, and the points thing, it doesn't bother me. I'll be honest with you. This season, it's just like we need to just move on from it. And there's one, I'm not really into, the whole new manager stuff, but there is something that I've seen with each manager that comes in, regardless, there is sort of like, not a bounce, you know what I mean, but a uplifting in things. So, especially with the new structure, I definitely feel like, yeah, it's like there's something that happens all the time. Look, even with Jose, he weren't no attacking brilliance manager, but there was that season, there was that vibe. It just felt something, and that's how it always is when there's a new manager coming. Same with Oli, same with Rangel. Firstly, it's that vibe, and hopefully with the personnel we're bringing, it's gonna. I believe in things are turning around for the better, man. Especially structure at the club. I feel like behind the scenes, there's more accountability. And when I say that, I mean accountability in terms of if you're not good at your job in any industry, you get sacked or you resign. And that's now what we're seeing. And that's what you want to see. You don't want to see people perform badly and poorly year on, year out, make bad decisions and continue in their job. And hopefully we're going to see an upturn where with John Murtagh, that's not going to keep happening anymore. You know what I mean? If you, behind the scenes, and hopefully not just behind the scenes, on the pitch as well. That's why I'm a big believer on the players that have been here the longest should go first. And then the players that come after, you've got one season. And then you're next on the chopping board. Do you know what I mean? That's how ruthless. It's got to be ruthless from the top up. And it looks like we're moving in the right direction, man. I'm looking forward to the summer. Like I said, I'm more excited to get to the 22nd of May, innit? So that's what I'm looking forward for.
Just quickly on that, I just want to quickly expand. Like, I know John Murtagh, everyone gives him praise, and I think rightfully so, to be fair. I mean, he is coming in and he's questioning a lot. But also, I think we need to give praise, and I hope we can give praise, and we'll only know in a season's time, to Richard Arnold, who the new CEO. So, he's obviously come in and he's gone, this is too much for one man. And he's obviously brought Murtagh along with Ralph. It could be Paul Mitchell. Obviously, Darren Fletcher's got a role. He's changed the scouts, So I just hope that in a year's time today, we can come back and go, yeah, he's already done a better job than Woodward by bringing in the structure and completely changing it. So yeah, just that. I hope anyway. Let's see.
Yeah, it does feel like there is positive shoots coming. I mean, we've been fooled before. Let's not forget that. But it does feel like there's something happening. Whether it works is another thing. But I think we're all, like I said, we're all kind of mentally moved on. I mean, the season was finished for us quite a long time ago in a real sense, even if we have still got little bits to wrap up to at least make, for a semi-interesting season next season in terms of Europe. But yes, what's your take on the points total stigma, Stu? Do you read anything into it? Do you see it as being a problem going forward, or do you just echo what the rest of the guys say and it's just something to just forget about and move on, or should we just be hanging their heads in shame and dwelling on it? Because I don't think the players will dwell in it, like Bainesy said, especially with a huge turnover of players like we hope will happen. Whether we will see a massive influx, we'll see.
I didn't give it a second thought. I'm not interested in stuff like that. Stats don't bother me. Points don't bother me. I'm not. It'll affect some fans, and that's up to them. But I don't give a damn, quite frankly. You know, we've had trust me,
Can't say further than that.
we've had worse seasons in the 70s and the 80s. Trust me, you know, worse seasons under Sexton, and with some really bad players. And so you just move on. You know, season's done now, or it will be, and you just move on and you just see what happens next year. We just have to put a bit of a dose of reality on it, don't we? We don't exactly know what's going to happen next year. We don't know what his real plans are until he does his first interview. We don't know what types of players he's looking for, but I think that the players won't care. Nobody will really care. The club won't care. Moyes is probably breathing a sigh of relief, if anyone. You know, he's about the only one that will really affect it. It won't affect anyone else. The other thing you've got to consider is
he did say that actually, didn't he?
You've got
in his interview with Sky.
Just how poor the league has been this season for us to be in sixth place on this number of points, and that's the biggest thing. If you take out Liverpool and City, it's a pretty poor effort from everyone else. So you know, everyone's in the same boat. Arsenal, Tottenham, not just us. Let me just move on. Football's, you know, everybody keeps telling me, you know, football evolves. You know, you should get out the dark ages of football, but you know, it just goes to prove that it doesn't. You know, football at the end of the day is a very simple game. It's just that people just try and overcomplicate it with systems and, you know, attacking formations. You know, and the funny thing about that is, everybody talks about systems and formations. Nobody sticks to it when you're playing. When you're attacking, you don't attack in a system. You only defend in a system, and that's the thing. So we need to move away from stats, I think personally, XG and all that kind of bollocks. I'm not interested in it. Did we win the game? Yes or no? But, you know, that's it. That's how football is, and we've got to get back to that. So I'm hoping that Ten Hag brings a bit of an old school mentality, because you've got to stop these namby-pamby players rolling around and crying when they don't get their own way. It's got to stop. We need somebody who's going to not rule with an iron fist per se, but whoever comes in, you know, as the lads have said, you either, you know, toe the line or you don't. You don't toe the line, you don't play, period. And that's the type of infrastructure we need. So, no, I don't give a damn, actually. Quite frankly, I don't care. Don't bother me.
That is a fair enough answer. I mean, we can read a lot into points totals, like we said anyway, but each season's different. I mean, you could have done different performances to get them results. You could have drawn a load of games rather than lost a load of games, etc., etc. So, yeah, it's all played out differently. I mean, I think it was Mr. Ton said it feels worse than that season. And I think that's kind of the overriding thing. It's you know how the sense of the performances and everything like that, rather than the actual points total, because you know that points total can finish fourth sometimes, it can finish seventh sometimes. So it's all relative. So yeah, I would agree. I just thought it was an interesting point in sense of it's going to be focused on elsewhere in the media, etc., etc. So
let them do it.
But the be all and end all is we don't care because we're going again.
Correct.
with a new outlook. Yeah. On that kind of note, Reese, do you think after obviously you did the post match after the Brentford game, but do you think like we've turned a really late corner with that performance? I mean, we got players coming into a little bit of form, like obviously Matters returned to the starting lineup and, you know, been very decent. Ronaldo's been on fire in all aspects of his game, and we got players returning, Fred, Cavani, etc. Maybe Maguire, maybe Wan-Bissaka. Does it feel like, you know, there's some positivity to be had in these last two games, and that, you know, they're going to show what we hoped we would see for the last few weeks?
Yeah, is this the point where my battery goes off and I don't actually give you an answer? Yeah, I mean that's what you've got to play for. Once you get to a point, personally, and the guys might not necessarily agree with me, but I think when you get to a point where there's nothing else to play for in the season, you've got to take some level of positives out of it. So if those positives are players coming back into some level of form, new young players coming into the team, he's got to use these next two games to just mix it up a little bit, give the fans something to cling on to before the end of the season. So we look at that season and go, okay, we played poorly, we got 6 or whatever we were at the end of these next two games. but Garnacho got 20 minutes and he shined, or Fernandes came on and he looked good, or Fred's back to fitness and he looked well in that team, or has Matt got another year? I don't think so. I think looking at what they've been putting on the media spin last couple of days since that game, the other night, I think he's pretty much said his farewells, hasn't he? Which is a massive shame because I think he's still got more to give. But yeah, just some positives out of these next two games where we can, as fans, cling on to something and look at it and go, there are some, okay, it's bleak, but there is some light in the shade where we can look at that and go, there's a couple of little prospects there for next season. It's not all just ship everybody out and start again. There's something for us to cling on to. And obviously then Ten Hag comes in. Yeah, he does make a couple of signings. And we start to look at getting excited. As Mr. Ton said there, it is an exciting time. We've not had success. Yeah, it's fine. We've been there to be shot at for such a long time now in this Premier League era. And, these records were going to be broken when we came down from that pedestal. We're not at the top anymore. The records at Old Trafford, the records away from home, the records that we've kept in the points tallies, they were going to get broken because of the way that we've been playing. But they've gone now. They've gone. We can't necessarily be so embarrassed anymore about how poorly we've been, because I don't think it's going to get any worse than it. Fingers crossed, any worse than it's been this season. So we kick on now, and these next two games we take something from them. Hopefully the young players get a chance. Garnacho, Hannibal, Fernandes being the three main young players that we're looking at. Some loanees coming back potentially as well. Some controversy on that maybe with Martial and Van der Beek, but I'm still open to that idea personally. And then you never know. We've got quite a big squad, an healthy squad again, with quite a few young players, and we filter it with some quality as well. And we've got a manager who seems to know what he's doing. So, and the structure behind it as well, as the guys have mentioned earlier on, that is carrying us in the same direction. And not everybody's like sort of aiming off in different directions where it's all to feed a greedy ownership. So, yeah, I think just gathering some positivity, Simon. That's the kind of main message I'm once again ending on here. And yeah. That's kind of my feelings on it, really, mate.
We've not been able to have too much positivity on these shows recently. I mean, we've just ended up talking about a lot of different things other than the games recently, haven't we? Because
I had an opportunity to take a good hour and a half with the lads the other day of a random 3-0 victory, which we never get, and then my laptop decided to play out of it.
We're not having good time with laptops, are we?
No,
I've actually had to buy a new laptop since the last show I did because it was dying on me. So yeah, we're running a bit smoother today, and hopefully United are for the next two games. Bainsy, do you care where the positives come from? I mean, there have been positives, especially in the last game, and does it matter where they come from in a sense of who they're coming from? Like there is a lot of outgoing players, so they're still going to be playing from the looks of it, just from the teams that Rangnick's picked over the last couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through the teams, I'm sure later, but I think, to be honest, we shouldn't really change it. The 3-0 win was like one of those wins where we weren't really troubled. We kept a clean sheet. I know it's Brentford, but it was good for us to finally win a game and convincingly win a game. That was nice. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? Because you just don't know what you're going to expect with United. And like Reece said, just finish the game, finish the season positively, and grab onto something to go into the summer. And with the regard to the points of the whole, players coming back and we get a bigger squad. Again, anything can happen because everyone's on a reset. Everyone gets another chance, right? So whether that be Martial, Van der Beek, any other loan players, Williams could come back. Garner could get a go. Some of the younger lads can get a go. It's pretty much everyone's reset and it's a fresh slate and go, right, okay, it's time to build with the new manager. So yeah, it's important. It's super, super important. And just finishing the season positively with 2 wins, hopefully. But I think that only really happens if we do actually continue to play the same team. We seem to have a bit more rhythm. We seem to have a bit more control, which is what Ranić has been saying for weeks, that we need to have control of the games. And I think that side against Brentford had it. Again, Brighton are much better than Brentford. So we'll probably see a different kind of game. But the same, that team should be able to sort of see it through and beat Brighton, but just finish the season positively for me. Get the results, move on to the summer, get people in, and we'll start the season again, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sati, what's your take on that? Do you think, obviously, performances were better from quite a few players last time out? Do you think we have turned a little bit of a corner just to end the season positively? And would you kind of echo Baines' thoughts of keeping what's worked for the last game, at least for this next game where we get the job done?
I think I said it in the reaction show, when there's no pressure on these players or when there's nothing to play for, it was almost like everyone was relaxed and just maybe enjoyed themselves a bit more. I think that's what you saw out there. It was less of trying the too hard pass, if you like. Even I think Bainesy picked up on it. Like Bruno was keeping it simple. They were just knocking it off to each other, keeping composure, holding onto the ball, controlling the game, dictating the tempo. Things that we haven't seen like majority of the season. So I think it was like, I'm not going to say it's turned a corner because I think obviously there's so much inconsistencies amongst the players and the team at the moment. I think it was more the fact of, it just shows you that the experienced players such as Mata and Matic and obviously Ronaldo came into the side and just showed absolute levels, technically, attitude-wise, and also demanding of the others. I mean, Mata was picking up pockets of space, but he also created movement for those in front of him, which we have lacked in recent weeks and obviously over the course of the season. So I think it's more the fact of that there was no pressure, and I felt like it was almost Ralph. I said to them that, look, you owe it to these fans. They've stuck by you for the whole season, the turbulent season, and you've actually you need to perform for them. You need to give them something. And I think the likes of Mata and Ronaldo, and even probably Matic and Bruno to an extent, are the ones that are the leaders there that have to encourage and have to inspire others around them. I think in regards to I think the point in terms of keeping the team the same, I mean, I'm a little bit reluctant to introduce too many youngsters. I mean, I would give them a little cameo shows. I wouldn't necessarily play them for a long period of time. I'll just give them a little taster of what it's going to be like, because I don't want to get too. I don't like it when it gets to a situation where we have a tendency sometimes to maybe overhype the player and expect so much of them. For example, like we saw little cameos of Alanga, I believe last season, or was it the season before, when he scored the header against, or was it Wolves? I think he scored the header against, and we won the game. And I think Mata played as well. And from then, everyone's like, great, we've got this amazing youngster, Alanga. And then he's done well this season. He's coming to the team. But again, we've still got to keep them grounded, still got to keep them humble. And I think introducing them slowly, like not chucking them straight in the deep water, teach them how to get into the game first, give them little cameo spells. And then I think in pre-season, use them. And then maybe they deserve a chance throughout the season if we do get into the likes of the Europa League and obviously the cup competitions. They'd be good for rotation there. But I think more or less of the same for Brighton. It would be a much more difficult task, I think, because they have a lot more technical players who were a lot better than Brentford, such as like your Trossards and stuff like that, who are really good on the ball. So I think from the previous performance, I wouldn't say we've turned a corner. I'll just say that the pressure sort of off us because they know that top four is really out of our reach. So I think it's more the fact of that they owe it to the fans now.
Yeah, they definitely owe something to the fans, don't they, after this season?
Yeah, they do.
What's your take, Mr. Ton? Would you care where the positives come from, and which players deliver it, and would you kind of stick with similar sorts of team, or are you up for the changes straight away, given that it's going to be pretty hard to give up that sixth spot sort of thing?
I feel like knowing Ralph, he because of the way he spoke about what the team done, he might just stick with it. I probably would as well, but the only person I'll probably take out of the team is probably Matic, because if I'm correct, I think he's played the last 2 games. I'll probably, if Fred's fit, put Fred there. But yeah, I'll just keep it the same. I'll be honest to you. Ronaldo in the last few games, I'm not gonna lie, do you know what I mean? He might be 37 and getting on a bit, but he's turned up those last couple of games. Also, yeah, I'll keep it the same, man. I'm thinking about it now. I'll keep it, like I said, I'll just bring in some legs there, Fred, really, and that's it really for Matic.
Yeah, I think. Well, they've probably earned the spots in the next game, haven't they? After delivering probably one of the best performances we've seen for months and months, really. Stu, what's your take? Do you? I think I know your take already. I think you say stick with what works and get the win first and foremost. But you might surprise me.
Mata was a catalyst for the whole game against Brentford. Like I said, him and Ericsson were standout players, miles better than anything else that was on that pitch, including Ronaldo at times as well. As good as Ronaldo was during the game, if you've got an appreciation of football and you've got an appreciation of simplicity, watching Mata and Ericsson is what it's all about. And I've been talking about this for weeks now, the need to bring in the type of player that Mata is. Because with Mata, the ball will stick to him. He knows position. He'll walk when he needs to walk and run when he needs to run. And he's got an ability to pick out the killer pass just at the right time. But what he does on that pitch is bring that calmness. I mean, speaking about it, Donny van der Beek, right, has the ability to add calmness to any team that he brings. The problem that Donny van der Beek has had, he's come into Manchester United at the wrong time. Okay. Now, whether or not he's there to replace Mata, that's not the point. Whether he's there to replace Pogba, it's not the point. Donny van der Beek's his own player. What I'm getting at is when Mata is his own player. But there are occasions in a team where one player can come in and just make it tick and just tick it over. And that's what Mata did. So he needs to play on Saturday. The only issue with taking Matic out of that equation then is it gives you an issue with defensive midfielders, because you can't put McTominay in there and you can't play Fred there. Fred has got to play as an 8. And so, to bring Fred in, you've got to take Bruno out, but you can't do that. So you need to leave it up until 60, 65 minutes, I would say. Matic has got 2 games left. He needs to get on with it. These players have got to get on with it. The game's there to be won. So I would keep it as it is. I wouldn't bother with the youngsters quite yet. It's not the right time for them. If you're going to play the youngsters anyway, you bring them on at Old Trafford. That's what you do. You don't bring them on at Brighton away. You don't bring them on at I can't remember where our last game is now, actually. But you don't do that. Palace, isn't it? Yeah, there's no point. And you wouldn't want to put him in the Palace away anyway. So I think he'll go with a similar side. He might change Maguire for if he's fit for Lindelof. I don't know. It's one of those. He could bring Henderson in for De Gea. Wouldn't bother me too much. I think Henderson's a better all-round goalkeeper. He's not a better shot stopper. He's a better all-round goalkeeper. But I would pretty much keep it as it is, to be honest.
We got a compliment for you there, Stu, before we move on to lineups. New backdrop.
Yeah, I just moved into another room in the house, my new office, but I haven't quite got it ready yet. I haven't got my TV in yet, Connor, so it's no good.
Right, shall we move on to picking our team then? I mean, we've kind of hinted at what we were thinking there, but we can have a little debate about the fine details of it. So it's that time. Sky Sports time. If I can just.
There it is.
Oh, here it is.
Yes.
Here it is. We're back. And it's working at a decent speed. It's not taking 14 years to export a Photoshop design now. So we're cooking. So in terms of keeper, then Reese, are you changing anything, or is it just David?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Unless he decides he wants to give Henderson a little bit of game time, I'm not sure. I might be controversial and say Henderson, but I think the majority of the guys are going to say De Gea, and I think that's probably going to be most likely the option, isn't it? But he might decide that it's a nothing game and he gives Henderson a chance, but I can't see it, to be honest. I'm more swayed towards the De Gea side. I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, I think changes like that probably happen in the last game, like whatever happens now. But we'll have your back four anyway, and we'll start totting up who we think is going to play or who we prefer to play. That's what we're going for, by the way, guys. Not what we think Rangnick will do, but what we want to see. So our favoured 11. So presuming we all want a back four. If we don't, then we'll have an argument about that. So are you going for it at the back, Reese?
I'm going to go Lindelof and Varane again in the middle. I'm going to go Dalot right, although I think Wan-Bissaka's back in training, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think Maguire's back in training as well, isn't he? But I don't think that either of them will start. And I'm going to go left. Probably Tellez, isn't it? It's probably Tellez unless he really decides to go brave and put Fernandes in there. But I think it's just like Stu said, that would be too much of a brave thing to do to start a kid like that. So I think it'll be most likely Tellez, won't it?
Yeah, you can imagine the stick they get. Well, that Rangnick could get if we put a load of youngsters in, and then we didn't end up getting sixth and ended up in the Europa Conference League. I mean, he'll still be around, but I'm sure he'll care about that sort of criticism. So yeah, I think he'll have that on his mind. He's protecting himself as much as doing a job for us as well, isn't he? So there's that to consider.
Luckily enough, it's not a game where the teams at the bottom as well are sort of like shouting at you for not fielding a strong team, because obviously Brighton are not really sort of in the mix for any sort of relegation or anything else like that. So that's lucky enough. But yeah, I don't think he'll mix it up too much, mainly to protect the youngsters as well. But we could see them later in the game. But I think it'll be Tellez left, to be honest.
Yeah. Benzi, what are you going for? Have you got a surprise for me in the goalkeeping sense? And
no. To be honest, pretty much the same as Reese. It'll probably end up being not. Well, no, hang on. We're going with
what you want,
who we want, right? I would like Aaron Wan-Bissaka right back. Varane, Lindelof. I think they have impressed, and Tellez, and obviously De Gea in net. I would like that, but I think it would be Dalot, to be fair. I think Varane and Lindelof are great. I think they've done actually all right, to be honest. And I think Maguire I think he just needs time off. Just get away for a bit. It's, anything that United do at the back, it's just his fault automatically, apparently. So, he's under so much scrutiny. Any goal that we concede, it's his fault, apparently. So, it's just Varane, Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and Tellez and De Gea for me at the back.
Yeah, pretty standard as of late. We'll put the graphic back up when we've actually got something to show you. We'll swap you two around here, Mr. Tom, because you're come back in and pushed in front of Saty. But yeah, what are you thinking for defence and have you got any arguments for Henderson being in goal, or do you stick with De Gea at this point and not mess around too much with what's kind of worked?
Me or
you, Mr. Ton. Sorry.
I'll keep it much the same. I think the only person I'll introduce, because obviously, like you said, it's what we would want, is Fernandes. I would want to see him get a run out. He's got huge potential, that lad, from what I've seen of him. The back, I think, to keep the back the same, really. The centre back partnership, keep that. They had a clean sheet. The low, keep him. Yeah, just Fernandes in the back five. Then I will go with Matic and Fred.
I'll slow you down.
Sorry.
We'll do midfield net. We're gonna build it layer by layer. We're gonna build this absolute behemoth of a team. But yeah, I've noted you down. We've got your votes in. Saty, what you going for?
He's just too keen on the £5 time. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not first come, first serve.
I think after the game against Brentford, I think Ralph come out and said that we need to work on and improve every other position except from the goalkeeper. So I think that tells me that De Gea will probably most likely, and I want to start. I'd like to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka come in at fullback. I'd like to see him come in at right back for this game, and I would like it to be Lindelof and Varane, but I do think he will bring Maguire back in. And I think it will be Taylor's left back.
Yeah. I mean, he might bring Maguire back in. I think there is a chance of that. They seem to be making a bit of a big deal about the fact
that's what I mean. Yeah, like they made a big introduction that 2 defenders have come back into training.
Yeah.
So I just feel like maybe there's a hint there that they're going to be playing.
I think there's a sense that they kind of possibly want to rebuild a bit of Maguire's reputation before
that's fair. That's really fair.
Before the summer goes, but whether they can do that or not, I don't know at this stage. It might just be better to just leave him. But he's obviously on it. He might do. That's on Ralph. That. But Stu, what are you going for? You De Gea in there? Yeah. Was that?
No. I'd have Henderson between the posts. I'd have had him in January onwards, to be fair. Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Varane, and it's going to have to be Tellez, I guess.
Yeah, I think it has to be Tellez just because.
Yeah, I like Fernandes, but he can't defend. He can't defend. He's great at going forward, but he's no good at defending. He wouldn't be any better than Tellez, unfortunately. But he's young enough to be able to coach this position. If he can coach his position, he'll be a hell of a player. He really is. He's got the potential to be a really good defender. He's a bit too early, I think.
Right. So the surprising thing is that Aaron Wan-Bissaka has got in the team that ahead of Delors, which is maybe not what Rangnick will do, but that is it. Oh, I'm gonna have to. Sorry, you have to bear with me. I'm gonna have to move around on my graphic. 1 second. I'm sorry, Stu, but your vote for Dean Henderson doesn't count either.
It doesn't stick.
It doesn't stick.
That's because no one's brave enough to pick him. They don't like him, but they're not brave enough to pick him.
Yeah, it just feels a bit pointless now at this stage. Like you say, if he was gonna come in at any point, it needed to happen ages ago. But yeah, with De Gea making his saves, I mean, there's been a lot of argument about his kicking output and all that sort of thing. That's an argument for another day, I suppose. But so we'll just get that up for you in a second. In terms of midfield, then, Reese, what are you going for in terms of your 3, and which way are you configuring it? Are you having a sit in 2? Are you with a number 10? Are you just going for a straight midfield 3? I mean, Rangnick claims that that's how we play, but to my eye, it doesn't look like we're doing that. But a lot of what we do doesn't actually look cohesive in the last few weeks. So maybe that's just me. But
yeah,
what are you going for?
I'd have like three in midfield, I think, with just one sitting, and then the other 2 further forwards. Not necessarily a number 10, so it's basically a 4-3-3 essentially, but with more of a sitting midfielder. I know Matt just played the last 2 or started the last 2, but I think he's played well. He's played really well, so I'd stick him. I'd stick him back in there. I'd love to see Hannibal get a start. I really would love to see Hannibal get a start, and then obviously Fred comes back from injury, so I'd have Matic sitting with Hannibal and Fred in there. But it's more likely going to be Bruno, isn't it, with Fred and Matic? But I'd love to see Hannibal instead of Bruno, and maybe give Bruno a bit of a rest.
All right, that's an interesting call. 1 sec. I'm getting lost in my things here. So you're going Matic, Hannibal, and who's the other one? Fred. Benzi, what's your call for your 3?
I actually don't want to change it. So the only thing I'll change from Brentford would be Fred in for McTominay. So I would go Fred, Matic, and Mata. I would go. I wouldn't want to change it apart from McTominay. People may say, where the hell's Bruno? But Bruno played on the left of the front 3 against Brentford. and then
That's
he drifted
true.
in quite a lot. So yeah, you'll probably guess my front three, but yeah, that's how I would go.
My only not necessarily aimed at Baines particularly, but my only concern with this, and the reason why I said earlier on about trying to play and get some hope for next season, is that two of those three in that midfield are essentially not going to be
gone,
here.
aren't they? Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're not going to gain anything from what we need to understand for next season. Now I know Ranić's not going to be there necessarily either. So is it just a game to nothing? I don't know, but
is
for
it
me,
for to qualify for the Europa League spot?
I think it's pretty much there or thereabouts anyway. But yeah,
Not if we lose both games though. We're risking it, aren't we? I think that's the worry. It's a fine balance, isn't it? Mr. Ton, what are you going for your midfield three?
I'm going for Matic at the base, and then Mata and Fred as the 2-8s. Personally, that's what I would personally
Fred
go
is-
with, in my opinion.
It's looking like Fred and Matic are in this team either way. Sati, who are you going for your three?
I'm going for Scott, Fred, and Bruno.
Tried and tested trio. Not a lot of Bruno in this team, but yeah, I suppose it could be featuring further forward in people's teams. And Stu, what's your three?
Matic, Bruno is an 8, and Mata is a 10.
Matic, Bruno, and Mata. Oh, okay.
It's going to take some working out. This, hang on now. Right.
He's got to write everything down.
I've already wrote it down, but I'm still struggling to figure it out. Right, Matic has got 4 votes, so he's in. Fred's got 3 votes, so he's in. And Mata has got 1, 2. And Bruno's got 2. Now, Bainesy, is Bruno in your team? Bruno in your team further forward?
He is.
Yeah. Right. I'm
basically
gonna make
going unchanged, apart from Wan-Bissaka and Fred.
Oh, sorry, no. Fred, one Mata's in there 3 times anyway, so yeah. But Bruno could get in elsewhere. So right, we're sorted. I've figured it out, but I'll have to do some shifting around. So Matic is in there. Fred is in there. It's not McTominay, not Hannibal. I'm sorry, Reese. And Bruno could be in there, but in a different position. We shall see. Depends who gets voted for in the forward lines. And on that note, Reese, who are you playing as your most forward 3? Your furthest forward?
Well, I don't know what the situation is with Sancho. Obviously, we'll find out tomorrow from the press.
He was ill, wasn't he?
Still got tonsillitis. Has he still got that tonsillitis?
No, I think he's back.
He's out. He's out for the season, Sancho.
I've never had the tonsillitis that long ever.
Yeah, it seems to be a long tonsillitis, doesn't it? But I would have liked.
Don't know what he's been up to.
He's had a mouse. He's had his tonsils out.
Maybe we do know what he's been up to. Yeah.
He was at Jesse's daughter's party, wasn't he? And then he didn't play again.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
What are you saying?
I would have liked to have seen Sancho because I think I felt we missed him last game. Well, as much as we had a good performance, I think it could have been even better with Sancho in that position, in Alanga's position, because I felt Alanga played all right, but I felt like it missed something, and I think Sancho could have been that little bit of a difference for us a little bit. But obviously, knowing Sancho isn't probably going to play, I think we give Rashford another crack at the whip on the right. On the left, I mean, I'd love to say Garnacho, but it's too much for Garnacho. I'm going to say it's probably going to be Alanga, isn't it? Probably say Alanga, and then go Ronaldo up top. Obviously, right and left doesn't necessarily matter. I don't think it really matters with kind of our inverted wingers, does it necessarily? So Rashford or Alanga either side. So, and then Ronaldo obviously up top.
Yeah, they kind of interchange anyway, don't they? In the flow of the game anyway. So yeah, Alanga, Rashford, either side doesn't really matter too much. I would agree. Bainesy, who are you going for your front 3?
Bruno on the left. Ronaldo has to play. And oh crap, who do we play on the right? I forgot. Alanga on the right.
Alanga and obviously Ronaldo. Reese's was Ronaldo, Rashford, and Anthony Elanga. Okay, Mr. Ton, who are you going for your three up front?
I'm going with Bruno in there. I'm going to go with Bruno on the right, but there's a reason why I'm putting him on the right and Lango on the left. Obviously on paper and Ronaldo up front, but it's going to be more like interchangeable. So Bruno can come left and go right, and same with Elanga, his off-ball movement, and Ronaldo, like what he was doing last game. Right, getting into the channels, because Ronaldo actually doesn't want to be a striker. So like, I'm not going to force him into something he doesn't want to do, because that's what we've done this season. And Ralph alluded to it after the game. Ronaldo doesn't want to play through the middle.
Yeah, did anybody else find that a bit surprising? I kind of just thought he'd accepted that was what he was going to play from now on, considering his age.
It's the same at Juventus. After we signed him, the Juventus technical director said, "I don't understand why he wants to play as a striker at United, because he told us he didn't want to." So that's why they always played with the two up front, so he can drift in the channels. So I'm glad Ralph has also come out and basically said it. He doesn't want to play through the middle.
Yeah, I suppose there was that. There was that conversation that he apparently had, that he wanted to play two up front with him and Cavani, especially after that Tottenham game. So yeah, fair point. Yeah, just came a bit of a surprise for him, but I didn't really think too deeply into it. Sati, who are you going for your three up front?
So my midfield was a bit different. I had Bruno sitting where it matters. So I'm actually going to go Ronaldo. I'm going to go Ronaldo on the left, Cavani in the middle, and Elanga on the right.
Ooh.
Cavani, okay.
You don't want to let him continue his holiday.
No.
Unless he cuts his toenail wrong in the night of the game.
Combs his hair wrong, yeah.
Combs his hair wrong. No, but use the wrong shampoo or something. But no, jokes aside, I just think, I don't know, I could see this being a little bit like the 4-2-2 formation, with sort of Bruno sort of playing as like the inverted winger, as we said, and Elanga as well, then Ronaldo and Cavani as the two target men.
I actually forgot Cavani's back. He might actually get a shout,
Yeah, I mean, I think there'd be players that'd be disappointed if he did come in, because he's obviously missed so much games and not really given much for the cause. So to come in for the last two games and I don't know, take other people's spot might rub people the wrong way. But then again, do we care at the point? I'm not sure we do. But Stu, who are you going for your three up front?
Well, it's going to have to be Rashford, Elanga, and Ronaldo. There's no balance otherwise.
That is a fair point. I mean, there's no argument for Fernandes off the left.
He's a free rolling player. That's why you stick him as an 8 or a 10. That's his position. You can't put him out on the left again. I mean, if you think about the game that he played, he didn't necessarily play out wide. He was playing tippy tappy with Rashford, with Mata a lot of the game. That's why it works so well against Brentford, because them two were utilising the ball so much better than we've utilised it all season, and that gave Ronaldo the space that he needed. Gave Elanga the space as well. So, So it gives you a Bruno issue, I'm afraid, Simon. This one.
Right. Well, I think Bruno still makes it, because he's still in pretty much everybody's team anyway. Wasn't in Reese's, wasn't in yours, Stu, but it was in Sati's.
Well, I put him in. I put him in as an 8.
Oh, yeah, sorry, he was in your team.
Yeah,
it's just in a different position, yeah. So he makes it. Anthony Elanga was in literally everybody's team as well, and Ronaldo. So again, you're not having much luck here with this selection, Stu. We're going against you at every outvoted, I'm afraid. Outvoted. I'm sorry.
You've got a massive balance issue, though. There's no balance. There really isn't any balance.
We don't care, Stu. We just want to win the game.
Well, you're not going to win.
We'll score more than you.
The team doesn't have no balance anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
we don't have balance all season.
We're in a NatWest balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, massive overdraft. Yeah.
Just quickly to answer Jarvis's question. It's a real difficult one. He's just asked me if I think Rashford can turn it around. I think it's a real difficult question to answer.
Yeah, it's tough for him.
He's got to want to turn it around is the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants him to. And the only player that can do it, the only person that can do it actually is himself. He's the only one that can play himself back into form. But you're right, lads. He's got to want to do it. And his body language isn't telling us he wants to do it. He's got to almost look back deep inside him and work out what it was that Manchester United, why they signed him in the first place on schoolboy forms, what he enjoyed about the game, what gave him the energy to get up every morning and go training every morning. And he needs to refine and redefine his love for the sport. But Jarvis, I'm torn on it, mate. The only reason I felt he would be good tomorrow, I think Rashford and Matt, if Matt had played, Matt has got the ability to unlock him and unleash him. And if he can get back to attacking the diagonals when he was so good a couple of years ago, if you guys remember, when he scored that 2022 goal season alongside Martial, they were brilliant at attacking the diagonals of the box, if you remember. That's why we won so many penalties. If we could get back to that, or that type of form, then I think he can turn it around, Jarvis. But I've got to be honest, mate. It's a tough one to answer. I don't know what the lads think, but it's a tough one to answer.
Look, I've said it on the channel before. Yeah, my mate has said to me, "Look, Rashford needs to travel the world, go to India, and have some mushrooms for a year." Do you know what I mean? And just relax. Do you know what I mean? That's what you need to do. Just relax.
For a year. The whole year.
There's reports coming out that there was a few reports coming out that he was he wanted to leave, and the club were thinking about selling him. So the Muppeteers, that famous group, that the in the know group, that they've said that Rashford has come out and said, no, I'm staying and I'm going to play myself into the team. And he's determined to do that under Eric Ten Hag. So
that's what you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to hear. But look, some people might not like that. Some people hate Rashford, and he runs himself into trouble half the time. Yeah, all right, fair enough. But a new coach coming in can maybe coach him out of that. So,
but what I couldn't defend though, or what I couldn't really get my head around was that through thick and thin, most Manchester United fans have stuck by Rashford, always supported him, always sort of respect him as an individual. And I think in the last 3-4 away games when he has come on, he's ignored the away fans, stuff like that. I mean, there was reports coming out that him and Jesse Lingard decided to give their tops to Arsenal fans when we lost to them 3-1. And then I think it was against Chelsea. He sprinted to Tuchel to give him a hug and then walked straight down the tunnel. I mean, not to say that he is human in the day and things are going to affect him when fans are abusing him or fans are getting on his back. But he's got to remember that we're the ones that clap him every week. We're the ones that G him up every week. And I feel like he just maybe needs to just work on his attitude a little bit better and just remember who he is.
I think there's some on that side. I think there's some bad eggs in that squad.
Oh, of course. I don't think Jesse helps.
I really think, honestly, I love Lingard and I love the players like Pogba, Lingard, even Martial. But I genuinely believe there's some bad eggs in that squad, and they're getting the better of Rashford. And
did you think it could be a case of them influencing him, saying that?
Yeah. Well, we know that Rashford and Lingard love each other. Like they're like brothers. They're always together. So whatever Lingard thinks, and we've seen what he thinks in the past week. He wanted to leave the club. He wanted to go to Newcastle at deadline day. Yeah. He was posting pictures of him in his West Ham kit and him celebrating goals in his West Ham kit. And he spends every single day with Rashford. That's going to rub off on someone. It doesn't matter who you are or who you spend your time with and what your views are. The more you spend with other people, the more likely you'll get their opinion and you'll start realizing, oh, okay, maybe it's. But I think there's some really bad eggs in that squad, and in the summer, a lot of them are going to go. So, hopefully, a lot of them are going to go. They fix up.
We'll know a lot more about what's going to happen with him once the season starts again, and if he shows any sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen what he can do, and if he starts showing that early doors next season, we'll know.
I think he'll turn it around.
Something wrong, but
I genuinely think he'll turn it around. and that's great for us.
I think just to get my sort of point on it, guys, as well. I think the thing is with Rashford now, we talk about him like he's a young kid. Like in football, 10 years is seems like a long time. These lads that we look at on TV, they're all young lads. They're all young lads. They're all in the 20s. But 24 going on 25 is not young for a footballer.
Yeah,
Not in football.
Especially a striker, which is what he is.
You're going into your prime in years now, aren't you? Yeah.
Of course you are, yeah. So you can't dilly-dally on players. As a big club like Man United, regardless of the fact that he's come through the ranks, we are devoted to him. We'll give him a longer period of time to get it right because of that attachment that we've got to him. But it happened to Welbeck, it happened to Cleverley, it happened to other players in the team where we gave them time and they weren't good enough. He's got the stats, he's done it. You know, Stu said there, like, this, not last season, the season before with him and Martial, they had a good season, but then he should have bounced on from that. You know, you look at, you've got to compare him to Rooney. You've got to compare him to Rooney. Rooney came in as a kid, not through the ranks, signed as a kid, and went on and did the things that he was expected of him.
He kept his standards.
And Rashford's exactly. And Rashford's got to be this. Okay, there's different sort of players. I'm not comparing them style for style, but in terms of impact, he's got to be there. As a Man United striker, as a first team player for Man United, he should be knocking on the door for an England place. He's way off that as well. Way off it. Way off it. And he should be. And this has not gone on. This has not just been this season. He wasn't really sort of knocking on the door for it last season or the season before that either. It's not good enough, guys. And the fact is that his attitude can stink, and he can get all disappointed with the fans and everything else. But his performances have been poor for a very long time. A season's long enough, but I think personally it was even last season, to be quite honest. And when you're 24, how long are we going to wait until he's 25, 26?
Very true.
The argument was for him at the start of the season. I mean, he shouldn't have gone to the Euros last season, should he? He was clearly on his arse then. But the argument was when he came back after that operation and was fully rehabilitated, and we just haven't seen a rehabilitated player, have we? Really, not in terms of his form. So definitely interesting to see what happens with him going forward. But we'll have to wrap it up shortly, guys. So we're just going to quickly go around and get some score predictions and first goal scorers to. If Ben's got any money left from his wedding last weekend, we're ready to snap it up, aren't we? So, Reese, what are you going for? First goal scorer?
Yeah, he better not spend that $5,000 on his wedding and not on this.
I think it might have been drunk behind that free bar. Just don't know.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Score prediction. I think 3-0 last game. If we have a similar formation and a similar setup that the guys have mentioned there with Matic in there, I think we've got a good chance of dominating the game and controlling it again. Brighton are a good passing and a good possession team, but I reckon I want to say 2-0. I'm going to be positive, say 2-0, and I think Ronaldo's going to keep up his good form and get a goal. So I'm going to say Ronaldo first goal and 2-0 United.
That's it. So it's a bit positive to end the season. Bainsy, I expect positivity from you unless you go in with your reverse psychology again.
No, I'm going to. I could be going to the game on Saturday, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go optimistic. I'll go 2-1 United, but we'll go 1-0 down. So 2-1 United.
Nice.
That one.
You got a goal scorer for me? First goal scorer. It's going to have to be a Brighton player. Probably Trossard.
Yeah.
Nice,
and Ronaldo to get the winner. I'll get Ronaldo to get the winner, and someone like Fred to equalise. He likes a goal under Randy.
I've already got those horrible feelings even from your score prediction, Bainsy, watching it, feeling the game already.
Fuck it, 3-0 Brighton.
That's better. There we go. Danny Welbeck hat trick. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. That could happen.
Of own goals, I'll take that. Mr. Ton, what are you going for? Your score prediction and your first goal scorer?
2-1. Ronaldo to score one and Elanga to score the other.
Nice. Ronaldo. Yeah. I think he's due a goal, isn't he, Elanga? He's tirelessly, but he's not.
He gets into the right positions. That's why I say that.
A bit of composure, and I think he can. He's got one in him before end of the season. Sati, what are you going for?
3-2 United. McTominay to score first.
Tommy to score. Is it?
That one-
Was
that
he in
one's
anybody's
hard.
team?
He was in my team, I think.
All right. Yeah. Just good.
And it'd be like a deflection of like 3
He
players.
didn't
and it
make
go to
mine.
John
Deflection
says-
3 times, hits the post, hits the keeper, then goes in.
John says United, Ronaldo first goal, United 2-1. We like it. Keep the positive ones coming in. And finally, Stu, what are you going for?
That's it. I'm going for it. 4-0 because I
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think we're going to hammer them. I really do. I
You
think
really
we're gonna-
think? I think
Yeah,
Brighton.
I
I think
think
Brighton
we're
are
going to go there and
quality.
beat them comfortably. My man Juanginho, or Mata, he'll be on top
nice.
form for us. He'll set up Ronaldo. But listen, if Rashford starts, I'm going to give Rashford. I think he'll score the first. I just think Mata's the key now to unlocking our potential, which we should have done months ago. But anyway, that's another argument and story.
Yeah.
Could unlock Pogba.
I hope he stays another season. I'll be honest.
Actually, that's it. You
Unlock
make a
Drogba.
really good point because it's either Pogba or Bruno for me. It's either one or the other in the team. It's never both.
It's
And
true.
just imagine what Mata could have done with Pogba in there as well. You know, if you're given the chance, you need to be given the chance, don't you, at football? So it's a really good call, that, pal. But I'm going Mata to unlock, Brighton to be on the holidays because they're just floating in mediocrity in mid-table. Although I love Potter as a manager, I think he's fabulous. I really do. And
They're in a bit of form, though, aren't they?
A little bit of form, but-
Yeah,
decent results.
they beat Wolves 3-0 last week, didn't they?
Yeah,
they beat
but
Tottenham
we're the
before
mighty
that.
Reds, lads. Come on, the mighty
Oh, yeah,
Reds.
true.
We're going to do this. 4-0. 4-0 at Rashford. There you go.
Nice.
God, we've had a really positive preview, guys. Which who'd have thought? I try.
Lose, aren't we? We're going to lose.
I kept dropping David Moyes' name in it, and you still battered me back with positivity. So, fair fucks to you, fellas. Thank you very much. Right, it's been a pleasure. Thanks to all my guests, Reece, Bainsy, Mr. Ton, Sati, and
Thank you.
Stu. Thanks you for everybody that's been watching
Pleasure.
and always retweet us. You know, like, subscribe, like, share, subscribe. That was smooth, wasn't it? But yeah, we'll have the fan reaction after the game. I'm not sure who's doing that, but I'm sure probably me or Reece or someone.
If we
Probably.
win 4-0, I will be
If-
on reveling in my
Yeah.
magnificence.
yeah.
You won't be seeing me.
Well, let's see.
I hope so, Stu.
Stu
I
might
hope
be on his
we
own.
will.
Yeah, Stu on his own.
Just a quick thank you to Apex. I did. You're absolutely right, mate. I did call it months ago. So thank you very much for that recognition.
Right, guys. We'll
Thank you.
see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.